It was an ordinary Tuesday morning when the courtroom buzzed with whispers of a new case involving a young black teenager named Amara Johnson. Amara, a 17-year-old high school senior, had been charged with a minor offense, allegedly vandalizing a local business. The judge, Judge Catherine Morrow, was notorious for her no-nonsense approach and blunt, often cutting remarks, especially when it came to young defendants. Amara had no lawyer. Her family couldn't afford one, but she insisted she could handle it herself. The courtroom was filled with the usual assortment of people: police officers, attorneys, and a handful of onlookers. Amara sat confidently at the defendant's table, her posture unyielding, her expression calm. She wore a simple dress, her braids neatly tied back, and despite her youth and the circumstances, there was something about her that commanded respect. Judge Morrow, already dismissive of what she assumed was a typical case, didn't bother to hide her skepticism. She looked down at Amara, a smirk playing on her lips. Well, well, a young girl who thinks she can defend herself without a lawyer. How quaint. Tell me, Miss Johnson, do you even know the first thing about legal procedure? Judge Morrow's voice was dripping with sarcasm. Amara stood her ground, her voice calm yet firm. Yes, Your Honor, I do. A ripple of disbelief passed through the courtroom. Judge Morrow's eyes narrowed. Is that so? Well, let's see just how well you know it. What makes you think you're qualified to represent yourself? Amara smiled slightly. Because, Your Honor, I know the law better than most lawyers. The crowd gasped. The idea of a teenager claiming to be more knowledgeable than legal professionals was outrageous. The judge raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. All right, Miss Johnson, if you say so. Then let's begin, Judge Morrow sneered. Call your first witness. The trial began, and Amara's confidence only grew. She methodically questioned the prosecution's witnesses, pulling out contradictions and highlighting the lack of clear evidence linking her to the crime. Every word she spoke was carefully measured, and the way she connected legal principles to the facts of the case stunned everyone in the room. As the trial wore on, Amara's strategy became clear. She didn't just know the law, she understood it on a level few adults did. She didn't need to shout or argue her innocence. She simply presented the facts with an unshakable poise, dismantling the prosecution's case piece by piece. Judge Morrow, at first dismissive and mocking, started to take notice. Her earlier smugness turned to unease as Amara expertly cited case law and legal precedents that most of the court had never heard of. She wasn't just talking the talk, she was walking the walk, and doing so with a precision that left even seasoned attorneys silent. But what truly stunned everyone was the final twist. After presenting her defense, Amara requested a brief recess. During this time, she disappeared for several minutes, and when she returned, the courtroom was shocked to see her sitting at the defense table, not as a teenager, but as a lawyer in full suit and tie. She had made a phone call during the recess, and a senior attorney, her mentor, a renowned civil rights lawyer named Marcus Reed, had arrived just in time to take over the closing arguments. The courtroom buzzed with shock as Marcus revealed the truth. Amara wasn't just any teenager, she was a legal prodigy. The aftermath of Amara Johnson's courtroom triumph reverberated far beyond the walls of the courthouse. The media covered her story nonstop, her name quickly becoming synonymous with brilliance, defiance, and courage. But what people didn't know was that this was just the beginning of her journey, one that would take her through uncharted waters, uncovering hidden truths, and forcing her to face even darker forces at play. In the weeks following the trial, Mara's life was thrust into the public eye. The media storm grew louder, with interviews, magazine covers, and even a book deal being offered to her. But Amara wasn't interested in fame or accolades. Her focus was clear. She wanted to make a difference, to bring real change to the legal system that had nearly failed her. But first, she had to navigate the murky waters of the world she had just revealed. Though she had emerged victorious in court, Amara soon realized her life would never be the same. She was no longer just a teenager in high school. She was now a symbol of resistance against a broken system. People around her treated her like a phenomenon, and many expected her to become a poster child for justice reform. But behind the scenes, Amara faced new challenges. People who viewed her success with envy, fear, or resentment. One evening, as Amara sat with Marcus Reed, her mentor, discussing her future, a knock on the door interrupted their conversation. Marcus opened it, revealing a stern-looking man in a dark suit. The man introduced himself as Agent Carter of the FBI. "I'm afraid we need to speak with you both, Mr. Reed." "Miss Johnson," Agent Carter said, his voice cold and professional. "It's about your recent case. We believe there may be some irregularities that need to be addressed." Amara's heart sank. She'd known something wasn't quite right, but she didn't expect it to be this. Was this going to be a simple investigation? Or was she about to be dragged into something far more sinister? Days later, the truth began to unfold. The investigation wasn't just about Amara's case. It was about something far deeper, involving corruption within the very heart of the legal system. A shadowy network of powerful individuals had been manipulating cases like hers for years, using their influence to target young people of color and dismiss them without hesitation. The more Amara and Marcus uncovered, the more dangerous the situation became. As Agent Carter began to piece the puzzle together, they discovered that Judge Catherine Morrow, who had mocked Amara in court, was at the center of it all. Judge Morrow, it seemed, had been taking bribes from corporate entities to ensure certain outcomes in high-profile cases, including the very case Amara had defended herself in. But what was worse was the possibility that Amara's trial was rigged from the start, a setup designed to discredit her and silence her growing influence. Amara wasn't going to let them get away with it. She became even more determined to expose the corruption that had seeped into the very fabric of the legal system. But the closer she got to the truth, the more dangerous it became. Threats were made against her and her family. Her social media accounts were hacked. People she once trusted turned on her. Yet Amara was unshaken. She enlisted the help of a team of underdog lawyers and activists, including a former FBI agent named Clara Wells, who had left the bureau after a whistleblower case that had almost cost her life. Together, they dug into the case files, uncovered new evidence, and followed a trail that led them to a hidden cabal of powerful figures, attorneys, judges, and politicians, all working together to maintain their control over the justice system. As the investigation deepened, the threat against Amara intensified. One night, she received an anonymous message. "Stop digging, or you'll be the next one in the system. You can't fight them all." But Amara was no stranger to fear. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about protecting future generations from the same fate she had narrowly escaped. She continued her quest for justice, even as the forces aligned against her became more dangerous. In a final confrontation, Amara and her team discovered the true extent of the corruption, a covert operation within the judicial system designed to filter out individuals like Amara before they could ever make an impact. The stakes were higher than she had ever imagined. This was no longer about one case or one judge. It was about a nationwide conspiracy designed to maintain a broken system that preyed on marginalized communities. The culminating moment came when Amara and Marcus, alongside Clara, presented irrefutable evidence to the media: hidden video footage, intercepted communications, and an explosive series of revelations that would change everything. The story hit the news like wildfire, exposing the vast network of corruption to the public. The pressure was immense, and soon the justice system was forced into a reckoning. Judge Morrow was arrested and charged with multiple counts of bribery, misconduct, and conspiracy. The investigation into the broader network of corruption was far from over, but Amara's bravery had sparked a nationwide movement for justice reform. As for Amara, she finally earned her place at one of the top law schools in the country. But instead of the glamour and fanfare that came with her newfound fame, she remained focused on her true purpose: becoming a legal force that would fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. Her case had proven that genius comes in many forms, and sometimes the most unexpected people are the ones who can change the world. But as Amara sat in her dorm room, studying for her next big exam, a message flashed on her phone. It was a news alert. Judge Morrow's arrest is just the tip of the iceberg. New evidence suggests there may be even higher-ranking individuals involved in the conspiracy. Amara's eyes narrowed. Her fight wasn't over, not by a long shot. There was more to uncover, more battles to fight, and she would be there, leading the charge no matter what.